Hello there, one all. Welcome back to another session of AIMBOT. The judging is consensual. The stories are apparently real. The Reddit is wild. The host is tired, but that's okay. I'm here for it, and I hope you're doing well. It's a Wednesday in here. I think it's Tuesday night in Eastern time, but welcome and for another edition of AIMBOT. We're going to be going through, if you're unaware of the format, we go through Reddit's Am I the Arsehole to see whether we can do some very consensual judging on situations for morality, what we ought to do, what we ought not to do, what other people ought to do, what they ought not to do, and see if we can apply some secular humanism to these situations, which obviously they're put on there because they're sort of contentious who is in the right and who is in the wrong. It's been a bit of a wild week, but I'm glad you could join me. This is certainly episode 4 of the AIMBOT Resurrection, so we are back. But I want to hear what you think, and it's interesting what people think, who people think is in the right and who people think is in the wrong, but I want to know why. And today we're having a very Australian poll, so get ready for that. If you are wondering what any of the terms mean, just ask in the chat, and I will translate the Australian for you. I don't know. I'm just doing something different today. Hopefully you will like it. Hopefully you will understand it. USA, look, I'm doing this, Nitty. It's so good to see you. I'm doing this no matter what. Like I'm doing this, okay? I'm sick of rescheduling things around the American election. I did the first episode of this rescheduled around the American election, and I'm not here for it anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm continuing onwards. I don't care if I'm the only person here. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I will poll myself. I will poll myself. But thank you for letting me know. I really, yeah. Yeah. So let's go. Let's do it. I've noticed that these are actually absolutely terrible on my throat as well. I think it's sort of I think it's the constantly talking kind of thing, like constantly. Like most times when I'm doing reviews or doing panels or debates or things like that, at least I get a rest. But this constant talking is pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh. Like I'm there's no other sound but my voice. So if you don't like my voice, I'm sorry. That's all you're going to hear. I do apologize. It's bad, but there you go. Okay. So first off, this is Am I the Arsehole? So basically people put on it. It is important to note that we only have one side of the story. We don't know the other side. What I'm trying to do is set up what a series of steps we can go through to see what morality is like, or what my moral framework is like. And I'd love to know your disagreements or your where you think it's different. But I think that intentionality is important. So firstly, I'm going to say, what's the intention of the people, or the apparent intention of the people? Next, what will their actions reasonably lead to the consequence they intend is the next question. I think a lot of the times people's intentions and the actions they take don't mesh up. For instance, if you want to sort of get people to like you, just say you have somebody with some sort of, they're being ignored, they're upset about it, they feel bad about it. Just say they intend to get people to like them, and they play up and act like an idiot, because they need that attention, or they want that attention. They want people to like them. You can't say that their actions would reasonably lead to that consequence. I think that's important. So you sort of say, well, that's the wrong thing to do if you want that outcome, kind of thing. So Ralph, I'm happy to miss the debate as well. I don't know. I'll probably watch it later, but yeah, I'm not rescheduling for Vance. As much as maybe it'll be a good debate, I doubt it. Okay, first off thing from Infinite Tank. I wish I had an infinite tank. That'd be nice. I don't have an infinite tank. I will happily accept that right now. So am I the ass of telling my sister? I get it. She's jealous and still a virgin, after she told me I'd look better in a red wedding dress. Number one, why is this always damn weddings? All of these are weddings all the time. It's yeah. No, I'm with you, Ralph. I'm with you. Yeah, yeah, mate. The highlights. Yeah, absolutely. Mm. Well, the story is when I restarted this, I used to do this sort of a year ago and closed it because Reddit had some contention around. It's a long story about allowing people to use their APIs. They were charging companies, which Reddit in general felt was pretty rich, considering it's not really their comments. It's people's. It's the community's kind of thing content. So I sort of shut it down to support that push. It seems to be over now. No one cares. So whatever. I started back up. And the very first episode I started was the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And it's just like, wow, I've got the worst timing. Look, I'm gonna lean into it. 29 female, just got married. My sister Tara, obviously not her real name, 27 female, and I have never had the best relationship. She's always pretty insecure, and growing up there was a lot of tension between us. Okay, I've always tried to be sensitive to it, but it's been hard because she has a tendency to lash out in passive aggressive ways. It got much worse when I got into a college that she didn't get into. Sibling rivalry, sibling jealousy. I get that. At my wedding, I was mingling with the guest. I mean, I don't get it. I'm not, jealous of my brother, and he's certainly not jealous of me, but I get that happens a lot. I was mingling with the guest, and Tara came up to me and told me that I would have looked better in red. It's an insult, basically saying the bride should be in red is calling them a whore, that they are not pure enough to wear white. Was that what she meant? I don't know. Okay, maybe. I told her, I get it, Tara, you're jealous and still a virgin, but this isn't time to make your insecurities my problem. I didn't shout, but my tone was harsh. Yeah, probably not a great idea. Tara stormed off, and I could tell some people overheard. My brother later told me I was out of line and should apologize, that I humiliated her in front of everyone. Tara wants an apology, and I was being a dick. Well, you kind of were. I mean, she kind of was as well, but you were as well. My dad and mum told me she will have to get over it because this has been an ongoing issue. Okay, well, I mean, it's a situation. Yeah, I don't know that bringing up her sexual status. Is she a virgin? I mean, she's 27. Is this? Yeah, I think that you're kind of mind reading. I get that. Yeah, going up to a bride and saying, "Hey, you would look better in red," is probably not the best idea to do. That's a bit of a dick move, to be honest with you. So I kind of do think that, yeah, your sister was being a bit of a dick. Like, I don't know why you'd go up to a bride and say, "Hey, you'd look better in red." That's weird. And if your parents are saying, yeah, it's been an ongoing issue, then I would assume it's been an ongoing issue, yeah. But I think that sort of being harsh and bringing up her sexual status isn't the best way to handle it either. That's pretty terrible. I think that, there's definitely ways to talk to people, and yeah, it's a rough situation, but you're both being pricks to one another, basically. She have spoken. Um, at the same time, it is your wedding. I get that, but that doesn't, I think if she didn't bring up her sexual status, I think she would have been okay. Even if she was a bit harsh, and I get things are emotional, but you know, that's like, if you're aware that she's jealous, that's just shoving in her face. It's not going to make things better. It's going to make things worse. At the same time, I don't really think you should apologize. I think you should say, "Hey, I lashed out because of this." I don't think I don't think it's unreasonable to feel upset that your sister said that you should be in red. I think that that's totally fine. But yeah, I kind of am going with everybody, like you're both being petty and childish and silly. Oh, hey Al, good to see you. Good to see you, mate. I hope you're feeling well. Yeah, well, I'm not yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I look, I've got the worst timing of any YouTuber on the internet. You know that, right? I really do. But I refuse to change. I changed once. I changed my first one, and I will not change again. I'm in it for the long haul, mate. I'm not looking back. I'm going. I'm gonna keep going no matter what. No matter what. Um Okay, so call for info. Why isn't your brother insisting she apologize? He's always been on her side. It really doesn't matter why. Whole childhood, these two stuck together no matter what. I think he feels bad for her, but I'm unsure. Well, I feel bad for her. So, the question is, why is she jealous? She's obviously jealous. This sibling rivalry, sibling jealousy. Yeah, I kind of, you know, she's kind of insecure and you got into a college that she didn't get into. um that's her thing to address, but making her more jealous by saying, hey, you're a virgin, you don't have a man or whatever, that's not going to help. That is not going to help. It's going to make things worse. It really is. So she can essentially call you a whore. She didn't call her a whore. Like, I get that. You're kind of uh, in the Frank gives you can't respond appropriately and firmly. Yeah, calling somebody a virgin isn't really appropriately. Come on now. This is the thing about Redditors. I sometimes feel they gravitate towards a dumpster fire. I'm certainly glad your parents have your back on this, but I can't figure out for the life of me what your sibling's deal is. Sibling jealousy, just she has a life that I don't have, kind of thing. you know Hmm. I tend to mesh relationship with one another. You are not the asshole mum and dad, right? Tara have to get over her jealousy and learn to deal with her feelings more appropriately. Kudos for your parents for not urging to apologize just to keep the family peace. Yeah, that's true. I do disagree. I think that sort of any other way but bringing up the very thing that she's jealous about, you're just making it worse. And there is a case to be made, and I totally agree. People may completely disagree, but I think there's a case to be made about sort of pragmatic approach that if your problem is her jealousy, just trying to trigger that is not going to help issues. It's just not. It would be to sort of or maybe do it in private, where because a lot of the time that it sounds like she's um, upset about being judged, or she's afraid that sort of anger usually stems from some kind of pain or some kind of fear, and it's usually fear. So I'd say that the sister is afraid that people are going to judge her for being maybe she's unmarried at a certain age, maybe she feels stigmatized because of that. So pointing that out in public is going to make it so much worse. So yeah, it might feel good at the time to say, hey, you're still a virgin and you're just jealous and you're just this, and all this kind of stuff. It may feel good, but does that actually solve the problem? Right? Does that actually fix the issue? That's the question. A lot of these times we feel like, okay, well, you know, um, um, these sex offenders should be, whipped or lashed or, shamed or all of this stuff. Does that actually work in solving the problem? That's the question. Because if it doesn't work in solving the problem, maybe it's not what we ought to do. Maybe it isn't what we ought to do. Oh, for the poll, if anyone needs like translations for the Australianisms in the poll, just let me know. I'll translate it. I'll translate it now, in fact. Butte, if you say someone's butte, they're good. If you call someone a dropkick, they're a complete loser. Bonza is fantastic. Everything is Bonza, mate. And feral is just, just wild, just wild and terrible and uncivilized. So that's the translation for you. not the ass. I'll tell your brother. I was apologized when she apologizes and means it for calling me a whore at my wedding in front of others. Well, she didn't say that. She said you'd look better in a red dress. So I get that, you know, it's implied. I get it's implied. You know, she didn't call you a whore. You're interpreting that as her meaning. So what's the intent of her action? The intent of her action of saying, "Oh, you're a virgin," is to hurt her back, right? That was your intention, was to hurt her back. It would. What was your intention, to hurt her back, to stop her from making these jealous comments? Yes. Would saying that lead to your intention? Like, would that lead to the consequence of stopping her? No. Rationally, if you look at it, triggering her fears and her anxieties is going to lead to more of it, not less. So that's why I'm sort of saying, hey, that was not the right way to go, because the actual action would not reasonably lead to the consequence that you're trying to get to. That's why. And that's what I'm basing it on. But I really do want to hear from you. Not the so well, I mean, Reddit's pretty clear on it. What have you got to say? Auto carrot, yeah, auto carrot's terrible. Implication? Yeah, I mean, it implies it, Al. It does imply, red dress does imply that, hey, you're not a virgin, so you shouldn't be wearing white. I mean, look, this whole virgin wearing white thing seems so outdated and just so archaic to me. Like, I don't understand it in the slightest. Like, it's just so stupid. It's sort of you learn about semiotics when you sort of look at signs and signals kind of thing. It's like white means purity, black is associated with death. It's all just cultural cues, and it's stupid. It doesn't mean that anymore. Nobody thinks it does, any more than, you know, something red is associated with blood, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's just silly. It's absolutely silly. I hope she'll be posts again after family Christmas dinner. Sounds like it'd be fun. Yeah. Well, you know, I think that, yeah, it certainly does sound like it'd be fun. And how did the poll go? How'd y'all go? Everyone is feral. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I am inclined to agree. I really am. I think that everybody is kind of, yeah, because her sister's problem is within herself, like attacking the sister that is jealous, or apparently jealous. Now, we got to keep in mind, we're only getting one side of the story. So her sister may have meant something else or did something. I don't know. But her sister does sound jealous. Her solution is in front of herself. Will attacking her sister, will that reasonably lead to the consequence of her, you know, her not feeling jealous anymore? No, absolutely not. She's going to feel insecure no matter what. She's going to work on herself. Absolutely. So her action is terrible. The other sister, the sister whose wedding it is, would her hassling her sister get to her sister feeling better about herself and working on herself? No, it's going to lead to the opposite. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I get that. Look, I get that some behavior is self-destructive. If you're going into relationships and self-destructing them and then feeling terrible after, you know, that's something that we might need to say, hey, you know, if you've got a loved one that's doing that, you know, let's look at how we get you what you want out of a relationship, rather than destroying it yourself. You know, there's definitely some self-destructive behavior, but, you know, judging on how much, like, you know, men that judge women on how much sex that they've had is just so ridiculously stupid. And it speaks to me of more insecurity within themselves. Like, oh, if she's been with a lot of partners, I won't be able to please her, kind of thing. And I won't be able to give her what she needs. That's what I think it is. And it's like, mate, shut up and listen to her when she tells you what she needs, and then you'll be able to play. Like, I don't understand this whole thing of you've been with a lot of guys. Oh, you're spoiled good. Why would that be a bad thing? I don't understand. Like, why would somebody that's experienced be a bad thing? I ugh. She'll know I'm the best out there, though. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I think that I think that from my experience, a lot of um, women have talked to me and said, "Hey, it's a lot about um, mental rather than physical for them." Like, sort of, um, a lot of it is just listening and finding out what they like, and you know engaging in a way that they like, rather than oh, you're going to be really really physical, kind of thing. So you know I get that it's a push and pull thing. That's worded badly. Why do I always word stuff badly? Why do I always word stuff badly? It's terrible. I blame you, Al. It's all your fault. um Various Vehicle. Well, that's an interesting name. Various Vehicle, created in October 1. Really? What was that created? Oh, maybe that's their last post. Maybe that's the last post. Am I the asshole for telling my mum it's time to lawyer up? Probably. This doesn't sound good. This does not sound good. My mum moved in with me, moved in with after what? Sentence English. My mum moved in with after she sold her. I presume that's me, after she sold her home to avoid medical bankruptcy. Yeah, that sucks. Medical bankruptcy in the US is out of control. Like, seriously, nobody should go into bankruptcy because they need medical treatment. That is ridiculous. I don't know how. Like, it is atrocious that medical bankruptcy is even a thing. That is ridiculous. Like, that simply getting sick, that may not even be your fault. Like, you may contract a virus off somebody else and get sick, and that will destroy your, like, that is insane. That is insane. Hmm. My mum moved in with me after short house. Actually, my wonderful wife showed me something, and my wife has been talking about coming on AIMBOT. By the way, let me know. I'm going to do another poll. Snap poll. What do you think of that? I'm going to start another poll. What would I want to know what you think. I don't know. I'm doing all the polls. There you go. Let me know what you think. Because my wife says, like, because I was saying, hey, it actually rips up my throat having to talk constantly, kind of thing. Over and over and over. Sort of just filling up that air, because usually when I'm doing a debate or doing a review or something, my voice gets a rest. And she's like, well, I could come in and do some for you. And I'm like, if you want to. I don't look. I'm certainly don't pressure my wife to do anything she doesn't want to. But yeah, apparently she was telling me the other day. Apparently the cancer rates in Australia are through the roof. Right? They're just insane. Australia is the, like, the cancer capital of the first world. Basically, it's insane. I'll see if I can find an image for you. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, check this out. So this is cancer rates by country, right? The big red, 452.4. Australia, number one in the world. And people are like, why is that? And they're like, oh, it's because of vaccine. That's not vaccines, it's skin cancer, you muppets. It's skin cancer. We have insane amounts of UV and very white people. That is why our cancer rates are so high. Yeah, you don't look great either. No, you're right. You're right, Al. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But neither does Europe either. You know, it's kind of interesting that sort of the African nations are doing fantastic. You know what I mean? Like they're absolutely fantastic. You can definitely tell where, you know, the prevalence is, and it kind of is. It kind of makes me think: is black skinned people, are they going? Are they evolutionarily superior because the incidence of UV is increasing, and therefore they're better adapted to surviving? Food for thought. Food for thought, right? If if the UV rates are going to come like increase, then people with more melanin in their skin are fitter under evolutionary definition. Interesting, right? I find it interesting anyway. Just saying. Okay, medical bankruptcy, insanity. That's insanity. Things have been rocky because my mum was always my house, my rules type of person. Okay, well, what's good for the goose is good for the mother, I think. I have an older brother, Scott, who helped my mum with home repairs, but Scott and my wife do not get along, so he doesn't come over much. Oh, wow, okay. All right, well, I mean, that's fair. Me and my wife went away for a weekend getaway, and Scott and my mum repainted our living room white. I hope they had permission to do so. It was navy with built-in bookcases and pantry. The job was done so shitty, and the original paint job with the bookcase cost us thousands to remodel. What? My wife started crying, and my mum and brother said they want to brighten the place up for my mum. It's not her place. What? 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 Yeah, I thought that as well. Yeah, so if you're unaware, the ozone layer, the hole was basically directly over Australia. Like that was the thinnest place. It was, you know, we copped it essentially. So absolutely. No, Ralph, that's crossed my mind as well, mate. You could be absolutely right. I didn't know this at the time, but my wife called my sister-in-law, brother's my wife's brother's wife, who is a lawyer and the contractor who originally did the work on our living room remodel. My wife is getting ready to press suit against my mother and Scott and has already handed my mum legal eviction notice. I agree with the eviction notice. I don't know that suing your mother is particularly a good idea if she's bankrupt. I mean, what do you hope to get? What do you hope to accomplish here? If she's like, you can't get blood from a stone. I don't understand the suing. It's deserved, and I back it 100% because this paint job was done so shitty and without the homeowner's permission. Yeah, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. My mum is saying that with an eviction for property damage, she will not be able to find a place, and my wife needs to stop. My wife has installed cameras in the home and is getting the court orders in place for my mum and brother. What, is your brother living with you as well? No, Scott was the brother, right? He didn't come over? Didn't come over very much. Okay. My wife's family is paying for this, and at this point, I'm afraid to say shit because I feel like if I protest too much, the big divorce will come. And with my wife's sister-in-law as a lawyer, I don't want to mess with the situation because it's a shit show. Oh, come on. Get in there. Man up and get in there. Seriously. This is your mother and your wife. You like, this is the thing. Oh, I want to stay out of it. It's my wife and my mother, but I want to stay out of it. Okay, no one's saying that you have to be nasty or cause it to get worse. But at this point, what is your intention? What would be the best thing for everybody, right? So if we want to make it the best for everybody, just getting her evicted for not property damage is probably a good compromise. It's probably a good compromise. But, you know, I think that, like, your mother has come into your house, taken advantage of your generosity, and screwed up the house. I think that at that point you can't say, well, it's my mother, I'm not going to take action. Like, if your wife is so upset that she's, without your permission, repainted, I would be absolutely livid. Even if it was my mum, I would be livid. And if my wife was like, I do not want her there, that's fair. That's fair. She has crossed a line. You're not allowed to do that in a rental house, much less to your family. Wow. My and my brother, yeah, I think you missed a word there, Chief. My presumably mum and brother told me my mum has rights. And I said, I guess it's time for my mum to lawyer up on her dime, because I'm not touching this, and it's my wife's lawyers pushing things through. I did sign off on the lawsuit and possible criminal charges coming. What criminal charges? Okay, possible lawsuit. My mum said she would contest the eviction, and I need to man up, make my wife do the right thing. No, the right thing is for you to leave after screwing up their house. Wow, okay. So the mum sounds really unrepentant. I don't think he's out of line saying she needs to lawyer up if she wants to contest the eviction. If they ask her to leave, the right thing to do is to frigging leave, right? Like, I get that you want to protect your mum and everything, but you shouldn't be sacrificing your own life. So a lot of the times I talk about rescuing, what rescuing means as opposed to supporting somebody. And this is sort of rescuing somebody. Like, you are helping your mother to the detriment of your own life. And that's not cool, in my opinion. Like, rescuing is always a bad way to go. You can't save somebody if your life is being affected negatively. All it does is build resentment. And I think that perhaps you've done this out of feeling of obligation, and this is sort of built up, you know, this is, yeah. If it cost you thousands to remodel and they've done, look, I've seen some terrible paint jobs in my life. Like, I really have. I've seen one person do, they did scalloping on the walls, which is where you make this pattern with a sponge. And seriously, at one side of it where they started, it was all like nice and small. It still didn't look great, but it was small. And then it turned larger and larger as you went down the wall. Like, so it got, as they got tired of doing it, it sort of got more and more, and it just looked absolutely terrible. It looked like a kid. Yeah, and you know, your wife, like, when you move out and you move in with your wife, kind of thing, it's time that your new family is the central thing that you're looking out for, rather than your old family, right? The whole idea that, like, oh, blood is thicker than water, sometimes, yeah, sometimes not. Sometimes, if that person is causing you a lot of distress and taking advantage of you, or if they are doing things that are hurtful, then sometimes your marriage is the thing to go to. It's important. Family's important. I won't deny that, but not to the detriment of your own new life with your family that you're trying to raise. Life is hard enough without, you know, somebody from your family. And the thing that I've noticed about that is when people are like, well, blood is thicker than water, you've got to take care of your family. Usually it's a one-way street. That's what I've noticed. Usually it's a, well, you've got to do what your family wants because it's your family. And it's like, but hang on a second, I'm your family and you won't do what I want. So why is it only going one way? And I get that it's your mother, but when you leave your parents, you have a new life with a family, hopefully, that you have created, and that has to be your priority. That has to be your priority. So I think that I say not the arsehole here. I say poster is beaut. Like, just saying, hey, if you won't leave my place, if you're going to contest this and you won't leave, then you better lawyer up. That is not like I'm more I am more outraged that he is not supporting his wife, because what's his intention through this? His intention is to get his mother out of his place so he can live happily with his family. Is his actions with the intended consequence, would the intended actions reasonably lead to that consequence? Yes, it would. Yeah. Sort of saying to somebody, even if that's your mother, hey, I want you to leave. If you won't leave, you better lawyer up, because this is serious. That would reasonably lead to it. I don't see a problem with what he's doing. I really don't. And I get that his mother doesn't want this particular eviction notice because it makes it hard to find her place because it's damages. Maybe you can compromise on that, but I don't see a problem with what he's doing. You can't just make yourself miserable in order to please anybody else, including your mother. That's not healthy. You know, find a compromise if you can. If you can't, you know, the mother has to take responsibility for her actions. I mean, how old is this woman? Yeah, I say not the answer. In fact, I'm more irritated that he's not standing by his wife more, because that's what he wants. He wants to, you know, I really think, yeah. Not the asshole for telling your mum to lawyer up. You're the asshole for not immediately demanding your mum and brother fix the problem. Look, I don't know how they would fix it. Like, she's broke. If your wife is crying, I'm pretty sure they did that, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't want to touch anything else in the house. The paint job was so shitty, and I want the original license contractor to fix it. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. Yeah, I don't know about demanding they pay to fix it. With what mummy? Yeah, she was trying to avoid medical bills, and my brother is an addict. Okay, yeah, and the possible criminal charges. Okay, so the criminal charges isn't for the damage; it's for maybe other stuff. Wow, yeah, you need to get this family out of your house. Like, seriously, yeah, but I kind of agree that you're the asshole for not defending your wife against the shitty family. I kind of agree with that, to be honest with you. I don't know about demanding your mum, but, like, you know, if you've got a couple of people that do a crappy paint job over a good paint job, I don't think they can fix that. You know, like, I why would they be able to fix that? That's terrible. But I don't know. Everyone sucks here except your wife. Really? Your mother is completely outrageous. What she did is way, maybe it's supposed to be way. God, I have to pass these sentences. Way beyond what a tenant, guest, or in-law should do. Well, that's true. Your brother is a complete moron. He knew you were out of town, never stopped to think if you wouldn't want the home you remodeled painted. Your mum is concerned about her. You have been entirely too neutral. I agree with that. There's no staying out of this. Your wife's going ballistic and so extreme because you are not taking a stand. You should immediately, when you walked into your home and your wife began to cry, tell your mother to pack her shit and get the hell out. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Yes. If your mother does, but I don't think it's the wife is ballistic and extreme because you're being neutral. I think it's just like, if you are on her side, on your wife's side, you can moderate that into something more constructive. But I don't think your wife is out of line at all. I think her trust has been betrayed. I don't see a problem with her reaction in the slightest. If the mother does not want an eviction notice, property damage, I suggest she pack her shit and get the hell out of her house. It's the only way she can resolve this. Yeah. Everything you've said, but no way they. Yeah, I do agree. My brother said your mum has rights. She does, but you know who else has rights? The homeowner, who has the right to redecorate their house and not have to worry about visitors intentionally damaging the decor, not the arsehole. Criminal charges for what? Personal property? Vandalism. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure that vandalism would fly, to be honest with you. I don't think you're the arsehole for being spineless. Okay, well, that's not exactly what they're asking. Reddit, they're just harsh. Well, that escalated quickly. When your mother is a squatter. Yeah. No, well, look, I totally agree with putting up your family if they're in distress or having a hard time and stuff like that. I totally get it. Like it's not bad, but yeah, there's like why anybody would think that they could go over the paintwork. If I was a teenager living with my mother, I still wouldn't think that I can go repaint part of the house without their permission. Like, I mean, why would you think that as a grown ass adult is completely beyond me. There's two of them there. One of them should have realized, hey, this is a really bad idea. Like, we shouldn't be repainting this house. Or at least give them a phone call. I mean, they said they went for a getaway. They didn't say they were off grid. I don't know why this even happened. Nice. Blood is thicker than water, but not paint. Yeah, nice. Nice. Did I do the poll for this one? Am I terrible in what I've been doing? Oh, I did a poll, but it just wasn't the right one. Okay, I'm sorry. Lynn on AIMBOT, 83% awesome. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of that. But seriously, I don't pressure my wife into doing anything, so I can't promise a wild Lynn will appear. But if a wild Lynn does appear, I'll let her know that people would like that. People like it, but no peer pressure, none whatsoever. I don't do that to my wife. Absolutely, her life is her own. Her choices are her own. I don't tell her what to do. We come to agreements. Oh, great. Yeah, no, Discord has to update. Okay, well, I guess I'll leave that there for a while. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'll get the poll up and running and give you a bit of time to answer it. Start poll. Was his mother? Yeah, and I agree with the Redditors. Like when you have a disagreement between your in-laws and your wife, like I mean, if it's something small, yeah, sit on the sidelines. If it's basically like they're arguing over a movie, or someone's late or something small. I get sitting on the sidelines. You don't want to get involved. I get that, but something this big, there's no neutral position you can take on it. I'm really sorry, but you're involved just by being with the wife and with the mother. That your mother's your mother, your wife is your wife. You're going to have to step in on a side at some point. So I mean, how do we do that? How do we tell what's right and what's wrong? Well, moral intuition is great, but intuition is really flawed, and that's something that Alex O'Connor talked about this a lot. That we sort of more choose our morals from our emotions. We just go, how does it feel to us? And I get that. That's how we a lot of the time, but and he sort of says afterwards we go back and we try to rationalize why we made the decisions we did, what was right, what was wrong. And I don't see that as a problem. I see, because I'm very aware that our thoughts impact our emotions as well as our emotions impacting our thoughts. In psychology, the cognitive behavioral model, that is very well known, that if we can retroactively look at how we ought to have think, or how we can change our thinking, that will change the emotions we will have about it. Cognitive behavioral therapy is based upon that. It actually hinges upon, if we can change the way we think, we can change the way we feel. That is the crux of that therapy, and it does work. We know that it works. It's been proven over studies to work. So I think that going back and thinking about what's right and wrong, it isn't so much a bug as a feature of moral systems. So the what I try to do, or what I want to do, or what I prefer to do, is think about whether the actions would the intended action, or the intent that you're having, would that reasonably lead to the consequence that would be good for the well-being of everybody. Now, as for the wife, I mean, they've given the excuse, or the reason that they've done it is that they wanted to make it more bright and cheery for the mother. Would the action of painting without permission reasonably lead to it being more bright and cheery for the mother, brighten the place up for the mother? No. It's going to lead to a fucking argument, and that's exactly what's happened. Like, reasonably, we can say that if you repaint somebody's house without permission, reasonably, it's not going to lead to a happy, brighter environment. Right? So no, not a good idea. Not good for anybody's well-being at all, in any way. It's going to be terrible for everybody's well-being. I can reasonably say that. Is telling your mother to lawyer up reasonably lead to everybody's well-being? Yes, maybe not your mother's, but you and your family, your wife, and I don't know if they have any children. It may lead to their well-being, but definitely yours. So I think that they're not in the wrong, because as much as you'd like to give your mother a place to live, your well-being is going to absolutely suffer if your wife has to live with your mother, who they're absolutely, livid over. Involving lawyers, to be honest with you, I think it's the mother that's involving lawyers. It is. If she just left, it wouldn't be a problem, or at least give her some time to find another place. I'm not sure if there is, like, I don't know the laws and everything, so I don't know if there is a time where you have to give people a sort of time to find another place, or contact somewhere. I have no idea. Yeah, 100% posters Butte. I agree. We're all in agreement except for Reddit chat, and Reddit chat can be absolutely insane. So there's that. There's that. Oh, there we go. Now Discord is up. I can send this to my. There we go. Results of the poll. Beautiful. Oof. Rough. That one's rough. I do like it though. It's rough though. Painty Paint 23. Oh my god. All right. Am I the asshole for refusing to hang up the artwork my girlfriend got me for my birthday? A little bit. It depends. How bad are we talking here? And can we tell her that you don't like it? Look, getting someone art for their birthday is always a risk. That's a risky thing to do. I'll say that up straight up. People's opinions in arts, it absolutely is so subjective. Some people like some art, some people hate it. What's your favorite art piece? I personally, I love The Scream by Evard Munch. I'll find a picture of that if you don't know that one. Yeah, that's it. Open image in new tab. That is The Scream, and I love that. I think that it speaks to me so deeply of just I don't know why it just really it's really evocative, and I like it. Do you know it was stolen? It was 100% stolen, and they never found it. Lost art. If you got pictures of it, doesn't exist anymore. Interesting. Love to know your favorite painting, by the way, if you want to throw it in chat. If you want to show it, if you're watching this later and want to throw it in the comments, yeah, let me know. Okay. My 26 male birthday was a few weeks ago. My girlfriend, 24, and her friends are into things that I find a little outlandish and weird. Okay, that's fair. Each their own. I love her and her uniqueness, and I appreciate what she does, but I do think some of the habits and interests are unusual. Okay. Are we into a bit of Salvador Dali or something? I mean, some of his work is pretty grim. I don't know if you're familiar with Salvador Dali. He did the melting clocks art pieces, but as he got later in life, his art sort of became darker and darker and obsessed with death, kind of thing. It was a definite sort of downward spiral. We do not live together. She's made comments about how I need more artwork, and I agreed. She got me artwork. Okay, that's dangerous right there. Like, whenever you're decorating somebody else's thing or buying decorations for their place, you have to keep in mind that they may not like it. That has to be kept in mind. It's nothing offensive. It's nothing horrible. You know, what's nice for one person is not nice for another. You just have to accept that. It's nothing to do with you. It's purely a subjective thing. A homemade piece of artwork that she was given the idea through TikTok or something. Her best friend also did the same thing for her boyfriend. The best I can describe it is she made like a print of her ass, legs, thighs on a canvas. It's like she sat in paint and then sat in the canvas or something like that. Okay, so she's basically giving you a paint, like a paint impression of her gooch. Why? What? Why? I thought it'd be like art that, you know, she kind of um uh, that she like bought or something. Honestly, it must have turned out really well because you can clearly tell it's an ass and legs. Well, yeah, I mean, she's done a paint impression of her gooch. What do you expect? The problem just arose recently. She came over and found the painting in my closet. She asked why it's not up, and I tried to dance around it. Yeah, that's your first thing. I I I I I did tell her the truth. My parents stopped by sometimes, and I didn't want them to see it. She started telling me that the picture is beautiful and I should want to embrace her, and some more lines about how I should embrace our intimacy. So, is this really about the painting, or is it about intimacy? I I told her that I honestly find it off-putting. I think it's weird and borderline creepy. You know what? All I can think about is if he did the same for her, right? If he just took a paint impression of his gooch and sent it over, would she be comfortable hanging that on a wall? I don't know. It might be an interesting question though. I'm very uncomfortable hanging up something like that. If she checked me first, I would have told her. She asked if I truly wasn't going to hang it up. I told her no, I will never consider putting that on my walls, but I appreciate the thought. She started crying, said I'm an ungrateful asshole, took the painting and she will hang it up at her place. She said her friend's boyfriend loves the one he got, so why am I being such a jerk about this? I don't think I'm a jerk for not wanting an, albeit artistic, nude of my girlfriend on my walls. Look, this is all art's incredibly subjective. It is. I think that your girlfriend, how old is she? 24. Yeah, she kind of needs to grow up a little and realize that just because she finds it beautiful doesn't, I mean, is it, if it's because you don't want a nude of your girlfriend, I don't know how sort of thing, but let's not second guess what his likes are. He doesn't like it. She got him a present. He doesn't like it. She's taking it personally as, you know, as he doesn't like her, right? That's how it's being taken. But that's not the case. Just because you don't like an artistic rendering of something doesn't mean you don't like the thing itself, right? So just because you don't like a artistic rendering of ice cream to be on your walls. Just say it's a really lousy, childish painting of ice cream. Just because you don't want that on your wall doesn't mean you don't like ice cream. Okay, so I don't think he's being an arsehole. I think she's being fine. I'll get the poll up actually before I start going into it. Wait, did I do the other poll? I think I did. Yes, I did. Awesome. Thanks, Chad. I really want to know what you think as well. Is poster. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah, I honestly think that he likes what he likes and he's being honest with her, which is a good thing for a relationship. If he was to hang it on his wall and say, okay, I love it completely kind of thing. It's absolutely awesome kind of thing. All that will happen is he'll breed resentment, right? He will start to see it, resent it. Um, that will start to sort of spill over onto her. Doing something that you don't want to do to satisfy others, like that you really don't want to do, all that will do is lead to resentment, right? I understand that sometimes you've got to do things that you don't particularly want to do because it keeps the peace and it sort of, but if you really object to it, if like it irks you deep down, that's not going to go away. And I get that um that resentment, you'll go, well, I'll just ignore it. If it's that deep down, you're not ignoring it for that long. It just is beyond our capability to do so. If he really doesn't like it, putting it up is the worst thing he can do. And saying, "Hey, I love it. Let's put it up." No, that would be a terrible thing to do. Just because her friend's boyfriend likes it doesn't mean he has to. Just because her friend, has this thing doesn't mean that he has to. No, he said, I appreciate the thought, but no, I'm not going to hang it up. He's got a right to do so. I totally understand, totally agree. It's his house, his life. Um, I think your girlfriend's being a little bit childish for saying, hey, I made this, you've got to put it up. Any art you give somebody is going to be either, they're going to like it or they're not going to like it. And you've got to prepare yourself for that when giving somebody decoration or art. That when it comes to these subjective things, it is subjective. Now, look, the whole point is she feels insecure because she thinks that you not liking the art is not being intimate with her. And I get that. I truly get that. Now, a good compromise, right? A good compromise that you might look for is to perhaps say, hey, how about we get an artist to, draw you? If you want it to be intimate, maybe it can be you, you know, um, topless but covering up kind of thing, in a very artistic way kind of thing. Or if you're uncomfortable with that, maybe just a painting of you that I can put up, or painting or a drawing of you that I can put up, that an artist can do. Maybe that would be a good compromise. It would make her feel like it's not her that you actually don't like, just you don't like this form of art. Some people love abstract art. Some people hate it. Some people love realism. Some people hate it. I just showed the Scream. Some people hate that painting. They say, oh, it looks cartoonish and it looks simple and stuff. I find it evocative. It doesn't mean everybody does. I don't think my wife would like that up in our place. It's not her favorite painting, and that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. I don't know why I would force that upon somebody to like the things that I like. But her mistake is thinking because he doesn't like the painting, he doesn't want to be intimate with her and doesn't, kind of thing. And I read that book about love languages a while back. Like, what does it mean to have a love language? And I think that it's a bit simplistic, but there is a sort of element there that people express themselves in different ways. And obviously, she may express herself through visual medium. She may express her sort of love of her boyfriend through some sort of visual medium that he's got this visual thing. He may not do that. it depends how people express themselves. And you've got to understand what people's expression of love is, how they express their love. I express myself through language. I will say stuff, and I will analyze stuff in my mind and express it verbally. That's how I do it. That's sort of the way that I express what I love. My wife's slightly different. She expresses more in touch and hugs, and sort of this sort of physical expression. I totally get it. It's fine, and I understand that about her. She understands that about me. If somebody gives us a visual kind of expression like this, we would probably go, why? Both of us. And we don't even express the same. But people have different ways. And I think sort of saying, hey, people have a love language and that is theirs is really simplistic. I think that that's overly simplistic. But I do agree that different people have different things that they do to show this kind of thing. I really do think that. There is a truth there. But I think sort of, the whole love language thing is a bit overly simplistic, to be honest with you. Yeah, let's see what Reddit's got to say. We'll just do a couple of these. Not the arseholes. The kind of gifts you only get someone if they're 100% into nude artwork and are comfortable to display sexual intimacy. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you're doing a paint impression of your butt and thighs, it's not going to show a lot of nudity. But, there's certain things that I'd be like, length of your relationship. I wouldn't want the ass of my girlfriend. Yeah, that's fair enough. 2 years, I don't want my ass on the wall. That's perfectly fine. Totally understandable. Yeah. Like, art's so personal to people. Like, you can't just go, well, this person liked it, why don't you? It's art. Not everybody's going to like it. Not the ass. So I think you handled it well. I kind of agree. Maybe she can paint something else. I don't think she's a painter. I did. She gave me a response. She got me a birthday gift, an asshole for being like, make me a different gift. They didn't like the first one. Tough spot. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But, someone doesn't like your birthday gift. Okay. It's time to grow up. Not everyone's. I've gotten gifts for people. I don't like buying things for people. I always get terrible gifts. I never, I feel so uncomfortable getting them. I like this comment. I do, but like I struggle to buy things for people. If they don't like it, I go, my bad. I don't get offended. Like, people like different things. I don't know why they're getting offended. Like, really, I know it's corny, but when you say it's the thought that counts, it really is the thought that counts on a birthday. Artwork is very personal. Absolutely. You shouldn't have to display something you don't like, especially when said artwork is just her sitting in paint. I've seen that trend personally. I think it's tacky and stupid, but each to their own. Yeah, go to a art fair at Etsy and you'll find some pieces you like. Yeah, but that's going to piss her off more. I kind of disagree with that. That's it. Is that a TikTok thing? It was popular before TikTok. I hadn't seen this then. Thank God. Do-it-yourself art trends. Look, if it came out and was, so I don't really care how it's done or whether it's a trend. The question is whether I like it or not. If I like it, I like it. If it comes out like an abstract, and I could imagine that your girlfriend, sitting in paint and then slapping a frigging butt on the canvas, it could come out looking nothing like a ass cheeks on a canvas, and that would be fine. Like, it might look like an abstract, and I'd be like, hey, I like it. I doubt it. It'd probably just look like butt cheeks on an. I could see me having a problem with that as well, mostly because it's sort of lazy and not, But it sounds like his girlfriend is sort of, it sounds like his girlfriend is taking it personally. And art, you should never take it personally. You should never take it personally. This is her being insecure. I really think it is. So is the intention of her girlfriend to make, can we reasonably expect her boyfriend to put up the art if he doesn't like it? No. This is a way to get your boyfriend to resent you if you're expecting that. Sorry. That's just what will happen. Um, can you reasonably expect to, for her to handle it if you tell them that you don't like the art they gave you for the birthday? Yeah. Yeah, an adult should be able to go, "Oh, well, sorry about that. I thought you'd like it," and not take it personally. Look, it just it's a birthday gift they don't like. It happens all the time. You shouldn't feel bad about it. It why would you feel bad about it? I don't get that. I don't understand. I don't understand. I've given plenty of gifts that people don't like. It doesn't, it's not a reflection on me. It's just a reflection on a bad choice for that person. Ugh. It's like just a human thing, right? You know, buying birthday presents is hard. It's hard. I get it. It's hard, but don't feel bad if you can't get a good present. Look, next time, just give the guy a gift voucher and say, sort yourself out. Right? Whatever you spent on paint and canvas and all that stuff, just give him a gift voucher and say, hey, you didn't like the last one, have a gift voucher. You know what? I'm totally fine with gift vouchers. I'm hard to buy for. I have specific tastes. People get me gift vouchers. I say thank you. I don't understand. I am so bewildered over this. Oh, well, I have to find the perfect gift that'll make their life. No, you don't. It's just a gift. It's not going to change their life in any way. Come on now. Poll says poster is beaut. Yeah. I agree. I think the poster's doing everything right. I think the girlfriend needs to mature a little bit and understand that giving a gift that they don't like isn't the end of the world, and giving art and them not liking it is just a consequence of giving art. It's fine. Usually when you're talking about art, you're usually talking about the emotions it brings out. Maybe they could make it a piece to talk about emotions. Like, what does it bring up for you? Well, it makes them uncomfortable. Why? That's the good question. He doesn't want an ass on his wall. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Or he doesn't want his girlfriend's ass on the wall. Right? Okay, so if there's pictures of other asses on his wall, like for instance, if like he's got, models or it's a surfy house and they've got, swimsuit models' asses on the walls, that might be a cause for him being an asshole. Like, oh, I don't want your ass on my wall. That might be a bit weird, but I don't think that's the case. There is no Weta. Oh, there is now. Am I the asshole? Okay, weird. Okay, you morally bankrupt? Am I morally bankrupt for calling my wife out for never doing the hard chores? Wow, that's a difficult conversation, but sure. Okay. You really like living dangerously, don't you, sir? I presume it's a sir. It could be. No, it's a sir. Yeah. My wife, 40 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 7 years and have 2 kids, 4 and 2. We both work full time but have different schedules. I work a standard Monday to Friday, 40-hour week. My wife's job requires her to work Saturdays, so she takes random days off during the week to compensate. Both our kids are in daycare during the week. When my wife takes a day off during the week, she will get chores done like cleaning, shopping, laundry, etc., which is great that she can get that stuff done on her off days. But there are things that can be done on the weekend. She will leave the other more labor-intensive chores for me to do on the weekend. We have a 1-acre yard. Isn't that really big? How big is 1 acre? Is that 4 square kilometers? 4 square kilometers? That's 43,000 square feet. Dang. That's a large yard, right? That isn't just me. That's a huge yard, right? A 1 acre yard. It's not that big? No, I'm a city boy, so that sounds like a lot to me. That sounds like a lot. 43,000 square feet. Okay. And it's nearly impossible for me to do that kind of work on Saturdays when she's at work and I have the kids. I've talked to her numerous times about doing yard work on her days off while I'm at work and the kids are in daycare, but she refuses because it's too hard. Which, yeah, I know. I'm the only one that does it. It's even harder when you're chasing around two kids. This means that I have to spend pretty much my entire Sunday doing yard work every single week. We've argued because she gets a work and kid-free day to herself to get things done, but she picks the easiest chores and leaves the hard ones for me to do on my remaining weekend day. I work Monday to Friday, then have the kids by myself all day Saturday. I want to spend some time on Sunday watching football and relaxing because I can't because of the yard work. This past week, my wife took Thursday night off to and got some chores done. When I got home with the kids that night, she made some comments that pissed me off. She kept saying, "We still need to mow the lawn this weekend." Okay, come on now. And we need to trim some bushes and trees and bring the brush up to the yard waste site. I think we should rake up all the fallen pine needles and pine cones used as fire starters. I snapped at her and asked her which of these things she was going to do. She kept saying we. She got defensive and said that she is watching the kids so that I can get the stuff done. I told her I think that she is using the word we incorrectly then because it sounds like I'm going to be the one doing all of it. She then went off. Wow, okay, this is not a healthy way to engage. She went off about things she got done on her day off. When I told her I could do all those things on Saturday, even with the kids, but she refuses to do any of the hard stuff. I then asked her if she could tell me the last day she had the kids by herself when I wasn't home. She couldn't answer and called me a jerk. I told her if I can learn to fold a fitted sheet, then she can now to use a rake, lawnmower, whipweed, etc. I also told her that I'm going to start planning things for myself on weekends so I have my own time, even if it means hiring a sitter. She thinks I'm overreacting, expecting too much of her because the yard work is hard. Okay, okay. I get that men are stronger than women, and some of those she probably is going to have problems with. Sort of like if you're talking about maybe sort of pruning trees and things like that, you may be better to do it. You're maybe taller, you may be sort of stronger to be able to do stuff. But pushing a mower around is not is not that hard. You know, pushing a mower is not that hard. Like seriously, and a weed whip isn't that hard either. Like it's just it may be that she's more it's sort of dirty work, like you always get crap all over yourself. Like it's not great. I hate gardening. I absolutely hate gardening. We don't have a garden because I hate gardening. Some people like it, some people don't. Doesn't sound like he does. If he doesn't like gardening and she doesn't like gardening, why do they have a 1 hectare property? Probably so their kids can play in it. I would imagine. Maybe I don't. 1 acre. Sorry, yeah, 1 acre. You have 1 acre. It's not that big. Okay. Well, it still sounds like it's a lot to manage. It would be more for me to manage. I wouldn't go in for that. I would hate it. But I think the wife's excuse is that it's too hard for her to do. Like you raking up leaves using a lawnmower, using a whip that isn't too hard to do. Like seriously, if that's too hard for you to do, you really need to get out and do some exercise. Like really, you know, I don't know. Maybe the lawnmower, if it's a push lawnmower, it might be a bit beyond you. But using a whip weed, if that's too hard, I seriously think you need to maybe, does she go to the gym? Maybe look at it like a workout. I don't know. It's very strange. It's just sweaty, sort of dirty work. Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. Um, I think the way that he's addressed it though is absolutely horrible. Like it's absolutely horrible. Like sort of being passive aggressive and sort of questioning her. I think everybody sucks. To be honest with you, I think she sucks because she's just avoiding certain type of work that I think she could compromise and say, hey, I'll do half a day of that work, and you do half a day of the stuff that I usually do on Saturday. I think that that's a good compromise. I think that for But I think the way that he's gone about it, it's just going to start a fight. Like, seriously, the way he's gone about it is terrible. Obviously. So this is what I was talking about in the previous one. The resentment builds, right? And they don't get it sorted out. And then he comes out saying horrible stuff because of that resentment. You need to address that shit. You need to work it out before it gets to that point. Because it'll get to that point. If you're doing something that you really, really, that is bugging you, that resentment will build, and it will come out like that. It'll come out with him saying, "Oh, well, when you say we, you mean me." That's going to be a fight. Like that's them's fighting words in a relationship. If he didn't snap and he said, "Well, look, how about you rake up the leaves? I'll trim the bushes. We can both bring the brush. You can do half of it and I can do half of it. I'll mow the lawn if you bring the brush to the yard site, and rake up all the pine needles and pine cones. Right? How about that?" She might say it's too hard, and it's like, well, but the mowing the lawn and the trimming the trees and bushes is the harder part. So it's probably the easier parts of it. Yeah, she can learn how to use it. Yeah. Like he's just being a dick. Is that so? So what's his intention? His intention is for her to accept some of the garden chores as her own. Is snapping at her and telling her this stuff, would you rationally think it would lead to the consequences of her taking on that? No. She's going to get defensive. I think we can rationally say she's going to get defensive if you bring it up like that. So no, he's not doing the right thing. No. Is she doing the right thing? Will completely sort of ignoring your husband's wishes to share these hard chores lead to a happy household or the well-being of people in your household? No, it won't. He's going to be resentful. So she's not doing the right thing either. I'm gonna lay down and everybody sucks. Like everybody is feral here. Absolutely. I'm gonna upvote that though. That I already did. Look at that. I'm way ahead of myself. Why do you buy a house with 1 acre if both of you hate yard work? That was my question. Could the house be the asshole? Yes, I forgot to include, is the house to blame? If she does yard work on a day off, will you happily do the cleaning, shopping, and laundry on Saturday? Yeah, with the kids kind of thing. Yeah, I get you. Those seem like they need to complain more often, daily, weekly, than most yard work. Okay, they've got an argument going over whether one. I grew up hard with a 1 acre yard, and I'm confused how there's enough yard work to be done every weekend that it takes a whole day. Mowing and weed whacking should not take you longer than an hour, maybe 2, and that's in the summer. In the off season, so what like doing? Okay. All right. Well, dude, we're asking for an opinion, not an essay. I get you. Says the man who talks constantly about these things. Yeah. Wow. That's a response. I'm going to go through all of this. You took the time to write it. Cold Animal 5709. I will go through it. I'm going to go with not the arsehole. Sounds like the issue isn't yard work. It feels like you just need time alone. It's totally fine. It's human. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. Your wife might not be aware of how much you need your alone time to recharge. That's true. Some people don't need it, and then maybe that's her. Yep. Sucks never to be alone that shares a day off during the week. Whatever the deal is, the solution is definitely not to get nitpicky spite fight. Yeah, I kind of agree on what counts as more work or harder work. You just straight up tell her you need to be alone in order to feel like you're not constantly running on empty. Yeah, I agree. But the way that he handled it was terrible. She loves you enough to start a whole ass life with you. Well, some people do start whole ass lives without love. That's yeah, I don't think that follows. Cold, what was his name? Cold Animal 5907. I don't think that's a given. But you would assume so. Oh, then he talks about himself. Oh, this is too much. This is too much. Oh my God. What the friggin'. Okay. Look, I appreciate you. I'm moving on. You're the asshole presenting this about being equal labor when it's really about football. Okay, there's a take. It's about the football. Football is the asshole here. You seem to think that a midweek child-free day to clear the entire house entitles you to a child-free day to sit back on your backside watching TV. You're proving here how little respect you have for the things she does in order to keep the household running smoothly. You seem to feel like it's not real work. Get earbuds and stream the game to your phone while you work if that's important to you, or hire a lawn care service. I suppose you could hire a lawn care service. They're both working full-time. It may be an option. Your entire Sunday, every Sunday for 1 acre. Good Lord. Okay, so I'm getting that it's not as big a thing as... Is this your entire 1 acre to be featured in Home and Garden? I can't understand how 1 acre takes up an entire day every single week. Okay, so people are doubting. People are doubting. For fuck's sake, get out of here. Hire a guy did a lawn job, really something worth arguing. Both have a job, so well, I do have 2 kids. Came to say the same. Yeah, okay. Not like she gets a day off either. Well, I just think everyone's an asshole, to be honest with you. You're the asshole? Oh, interesting. If your wife is physically unable to do outside chores, you have 3 options. Move somewhere without these chores, hire out, or give her all of the easy chores so you only did yard work to worry about. Yeah, I agree. Like, just give her the easy ones, like raking, if she's physically unable to do them. I totally with you. I think that he's an idiot. Yeah, like letting it pile up is probably not a solution either. I don't really like this one. Yeah, but everyone seems to be going, yeah, like move some. Why are you in such a big property if you both hate doing the yard work? I kind of agree. It's a bit sort of contentious, but I'm going to come down with everybody. Everybody's terrible. Everybody's feral. Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of do agree. Hey, Andrew, good to see you, mate. Good to see you, buddy. But that was interesting. Okay, and this will be the last one. I must admit, my voice is getting a little torn up, so I'll do this as the last one. Secret Birthday 8452 writes, am I morally bankrupt for refusing to include another child in my math instruction for my son? Okay, Rembrandt said you have 1/6 of an apron. It's a pain to mow. Yeah, but how long would that take you every weekend, kind of thing? Like, is that something that you do every weekend, and would it take you the entire day to keep maintenance on the property? And we have to keep in mind this might be a high maintenance property. It might be a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs that drop. Obviously, excuse me, they drop pine needles a lot. It might. I don't know a lot about pines being in Australia. I have to admit my pine ignorance is very, very complete. I don't know anything about pines, but do they drop needles all year round, or is that just a seasonal thing that you have to take care of? I don't know. I have eucalypts. I don't have pines. Yeah, so it does sound like he's kind of over exaggerating the amount of time it takes, like all day for one. Oh, but that's 1/6. Yeah, so it might. Kind of all year. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Australian, not familiar with pine. I can tell you all about gum trees. Um, oh, Rembrandt. Oh, buddy. Oh, don't say that. Am I the asshole for refusing to include another? Oh, yeah. Okay. My older son, 12, is very interested in maths and has the aptitude to match. Not a huge surprise. I was the same and went on to get advanced degrees in a quantitative field. Due to my wife's job, we relocated to a smaller town. The public schools have become a mess since COVID, so we enrolled him in what is regarded as the academically stronger private school in the area. It's okay, but not nearly as good as the public school in our own home city. Okay, so obviously they've moved to a southern state. Fair. We've supplemented son's math with an online program last year at which he excelled. Maths at school was a total waste, but he could afford the lost time. But he has a lot of interest, music, coding. Oh, go the coder. Yeah, they do have like code academies and coding dojos now, which is fantastic. It's so good. Like coding, my thoughts on coding. So coding is one of those things that I think everybody should at least have a tiny bit of understanding. And what do I mean by that? I mean, understanding the logic of coding helps your brain think critically, because coding is a language. It's sort of the language in which you code. There will be a logical step of progressions, and understanding the logic of how it works helps you think logically. So I think it's fantastic. I think it really helps people think in a way that is logically and rationally, because it really does set your brain to, well, if this is how it works, what is the outcome that will be produced if these series of steps go in place? And how does that break? How do you fix it? It's really good. But I do coding, so I'm biased. And now the homework load is increasing. Time is scarce, and he can't just double up on his maths using evening time. We asked the school if he could just use his math period to go to the library and get ahead on homework, but they refused. No one to supervise was the reason given. That's fair. And doing synchronous online math in the library won't work because his schedule is block. His schedule is block. I'm not sure I understand what that means. And the time of day he does math move it around. My office, I'm remote, is a 3-minute walk from the school on purpose, picked up for drop-off ease. Okay, cool. So I asked if I could take charge of math education in the library. School agreed. My son asked if I would consider including one classmate, Jane. He vouched for her math skill, interest, and work ethic. I asked her parents if I could review her assessment results and evaluate her myself. She wasn't quite up to where my son is, but close enough that I could make it work. And she seemed very hardworking and enthusiastic. So far, so good. A few weeks into this, I get a call from the school. The parents of another school student, Joe, were upset that he was not offered the chance to participate. My son's sense was that Joe doesn't like maths especially and is poorly behaved. I didn't really want another kid, but I asked to see his assessments before I said no, because I assumed they'd show he wasn't ready and I could decline on non-subjective grounds. His parents shared, and indeed he is just at grade level. When I declined, his parents got quite upset. They called the school to complain about favoritism. They called and berated me too, instead that if I took Jane, then I need to take all comers, that I was discriminating against their child. We are all the same race, religion. Oh dear. I wouldn't budge. They asked the school not to allow the accommodation for my son and Jane. I told the school that if I got any more guff, my kid was just going to do online school. He was admitted to a very high-level online program, but decided to only take one evening computer science class. The parents are bad-mouthing me to all that listen. At first I was silent, but now I respond that Joe did not demonstrate aptitude for advanced math in my view and would not be able to keep up. So am I the arsehole for refusing to include Joe? I don't understand any of that post. What don't you understand, Rembrandt? What is it that's causing you consternation, mate? Basically, it's this guy created an advanced math program for his son and admitted another student for this advanced math program, and people are angry that their kids weren't included in it. If you create an advanced program for students that excel in a class, it's not favoritism and it's not discrimination not to allow other students. I'm sorry, it's not, and it's up to him. He's giving his time. He's not charging for any of this. I don't know how you would say, well, you've got to do what we want, because he's not being paid for it. He's not an employee of the school, unless somehow he's getting paid for it, and then they might have a case. I don't. I don't understand this. I don't understand why. Like this seems like they're misunderstanding and sort of. I don't think he's an arsehole at all. I This is lack of aptitude as a reason. Yeah, I mean it's an advanced math class for those that are doing well in math. If you're not doing well in math, then why would you be admitted to it? Why would you be admitted to it if you're not doing well in math? It's not like he said, "No, I'm refusing and based upon anything else." Hold on, I'm going to start a poll. Um, is- what was the kid's name? Joe. And he's not being paid by the school. So, the school can't tell him, hey, you have to do this or that. He's not an employee. Like, seriously, he's not an employee. Oh, Rembrandt, if you need the Australianisms in the poll translated, let me know. I can translate them. I can speak Australiana. I have been known to upon occasion. But I think he's fine. I really do. Um, so I do have a parallel in my own life for this, and let me know what you think. But I think the circumstances were different. It was basically a we took a test in primary school, which is years 1 to 7, um, to see who had aptitude for special classes, basically. Who um, the classes, we called it sort of um, it was like SSC, special something educate. It was basically more. It was basically more advanced classes based upon your aptitude to learn. Basically, they did intelligence tests kind of thing on primary school students, and um, I absolutely aced the tests. I got incredibly high on the test because you know I'm just naturally good at that kind of thing. But they refused to put me into any sort of advanced class because um, I wasn't very socially active, and basically I was a bit of a basket case. Like if we're taking the um, breakfast club categorization system of students, like if you're unaware of the Breakfast Club, it was a movie, came out in the 80s kind of thing, and it had these archetypes in it. It had the nerd, the jock, the princess, the rebel, and the basket case. Ali Sheedy, I think, played the basket case. I was probably in the basket case kind of thing, very, very smart, but socially, um, to say inept would be an understatement. Just completely and utterly clueless about everything around me. Didn't get along with anybody, not for my lack of trying, but for an inability to think, yeah, Ali Sheedy, Emilio Estevez, yeah, you got it, that's the one. Yeah, so using the Breakfast Club system of categorization of kids, I definitely fell in the basket case kind of thing. So because I was unconventionally smart, or just smart, but um, um, what weird, I guess, very weird. They said that they're not going to put me in there because I wasn't suitable for the environment of working with other people. And my family, particularly my mother, got really upset about that because their criteria on paper was, well, who is they did a test to see who to put in there, and then said, oh, but he doesn't do well in school, doesn't do well in class, doesn't do well with others, kick him out. They eventually compromised on putting me in a secondary class that was available, which was an academic extension and not the top one kind of thing. But it was kind of, it's kind of, there was no stoner. That was the rebel Rembrandt. It's the rebel. It's the rebel, mate. Absolutely the rebel. Okay, it's not. He was more. He had more facets than just a stoner. Come on now, don't sell yourself short. It's the rebel. That's the categorization. Anyway, so yeah, but I think that's a bit different than this, where I did have the aptitude. I just didn't have the social stats or the social ability to work within a classroom environment. So it's interesting. It's really interesting. I did terribly at school. Still do. I do terribly at school. I have issues with focusing on what I'm doing. I have all kinds of issues. But that wasn't the criteria for admitting somebody to this or not. It was whether you had intelligence or not, and I do. I certainly do. I don't make a big deal about it because, quite frankly, it hasn't done anything for me that is good at all. Hasn't been a great thing in my life, so I don't think. But yeah, I did very well in those tests, and but this is sort of, we understand that if people have aptitudes for things, we give them advanced classes if they're students. If you don't have an aptitude for it, why would you go into the... All that's going to happen out of this is that Joe's going to do badly, hate it, make everybody else in the class suffer as well, drag them back. Why you would do that is absolutely beyond me. Like, absolutely beyond me. I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm so confused as to why they would want this there. I am absolutely confused as to why they'd want it there. I don't see him doing anything wrong. If it was a school-run program and they had some sort of criteria, like, we will admit the top, 10 students or whatever, and they excluded him because they didn't feel like he was very good for the choice, I would understand it, but that's not what this situation is. So I'm on the side of the poster here, to be honest with you. Not the answer. What you created with the blessing at school was an advanced math class in essence. Not every student can be expected to be academically suitable to join, and it appears Joe's in this category. You cannot take all comers to do would negatively attack the other students' learning. Yes, it's no different if the school offered an advanced class. Correct. It would not be able to take all comers to the class, and neither should be expected to. Correct. Yes, that is correct. I absolutely, like, maybe a good compromise would be to say to Joe's parents in the school, if he can get his math grade up to a certain level and sort of show that he is interested in math, then you will take him, right? That might be a really good compromise. Yes, that's very sensible in the way I think. Didn't have space in main content by this contact, but the school is generally opposed to tracking before 9th grade, so there is really not a precedent in middle school for tracked or test in advanced classes. One of the reasons I find the school kind of lame, but we don't have a lot of options in this area. Seriously, I hope you're able to move back to civilization before my kids start. Okay, well, that's a bit, yeah. Okay. Not the hassle. Might make more sense to take your son out of the school during this time. Teaching at the school and allowing another child to participate does allow the school to criticism. Yeah, maybe there's a public library around. That would solve the problem as well. Maybe you could sort of organize a time to have a room at the public library. That's what the library's there for. Yeah, I totally agree. it's anything more school that allowed, if it's anything, it's more on the school that allowed this to start. You're not an employee, but you're at the school and using school resources to teach only certain kids. They should have either said no or started an advanced math class with guidelines of who could be placed and possibly made you a part-time employee. But it's private, so I get that they can essentially allow what they want. Yeah. And I would keep telling anyone that asked that it was for advanced kids and Joe didn't pass the skills test, but always be prepared for a backup plan. You said you would just pull your son, but it's not clear if your son would even want that. As I gather, he probably wouldn't, you know, and he was very close to choosing to do the online school this year. My wife sort of pushed the other way. Social reasons. I agree. Social reasons are important, and that tipped the balance. I did offer to just grab him and bring him over to my office, but it's a lot easier just to do it there, and basically infeasible to include Jane if we did it at my office. School was fine with it. They often let outside tutors, speech therapists, etc., hired by parents to come give services at school. Yeah, and I don't see a problem with outside maths tutor. Not the arsehole, but you can put a hard line on what scores you'd expect to see, but also your class isn't even part of the curriculum. But not sure why your school is allowing you to use their property to do this in the first place. It's nice of them to allow them to come on campus, but it's not unprecedented. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't see that the guy's doing anything wrong whatsoever, to be honest with you. This obsession with equity in education has resulted in teaching to the lowest common denominator. Not that kids know what that is anymore. Oh, come on, man. Look, his son doing advanced math will know what the lowest common denominator is. Come on now. So now we have two generations who cannot do basic arithmetic in their heads. Come on now. Please stand your ground and let the bright kids learn. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but still, seriously. But at the same time, we can't just leave somebody behind because they're struggling with a subject. We can't. Like, we have to get everybody to a certain point. So I think it's more about that than, you know, I think you're, you know, dear. I come on now. Freaking Reddit. You know, sometimes a Reddit post is there and you can tell who it is making it just by what, you know, the tone and what it says. That's obviously an old person that like thinks that nobody is, you know, nobody's keeping their math skills kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's not that important. Like, honestly, once I saw a letter written by a professor, like back in the 1900s kind of thing, lamenting that none of the children know how to write with slate and chalk nowadays because ink and pen is all the rage. It really was an eye-opening paradigm of this. Young people don't know how to do this anymore. That why would they? Like, I get that, hey, it's sort of, you know, we don't know how to do X anymore. If they don't need to, they don't need to. If they can use a calculator on their phone, they don't need to. It's not that bad a thing. Like, I get that you think it's the end of the world. It's really not. It's really not. Basic math skills, as long as you can get the result at the end of the day, I'm not that fussed. I'm not that fussed. What's very, very upsetting though is seeing people come out with absolutely no ability to use a computer trying to get a job in the real world. It's not going to happen. Like, you need to know how to use a computer. You need to know how to use the tools in which the workplace operates. For some jobs, that's not math. You know, they're only going to need math to add up their groceries and do, you know, checking of their weight. That's all that they're going to need. I don't see the point in forcing people to learn stuff that they will never need. However, it's good if they can learn it. Like, I get that. The poll says everyone is feral. Okay, well, I don't agree, but that's okay. You're entitled to your own opinion, and that brings the episode to an end. I'm so sorry. My voice is a bit croaky at the moment. My voice is a bit going, so I'm gonna call it up here. It's hard to keep talking through this entire episode. I won't lie. It's actually hard. It's kind of, I find myself hoping for an opportunity just to rest my voice for a second. It's weird because I used to do sort of 8-hour days on the phone, right? So I used to, you know, get calls all day for 8 hours a day. So people would call in and I would talk to them and try to fix their problem, take their complaints, take their technical issues, like, sort it all out, use the computer. But it's different than, because you'll sort of have silencers. You'll be like, okay, so tell me about this. It's weird when you're sort of talking non-stop, like constantly over something. It's very, very strange, but it's interesting. Maybe I should just, get that vocal cords of iron back. I'll have vocal cords like iron cables one day. Yeah. Oh, don't do too much of that. That's terrible. But thank you so much for joining me. This is am I morally bankrupt or them? I'm going to keep doing this. I don't really care. If you're watching, I choose the worst times to do it. Apparently, I decided to schedule this one at the exact time a debate between the vice presidents were on, which is probably a really bad idea. C'est la vie. But thank you so much for joining me. I think they were really good examples. I think that a couple of them, it's sort of, your reaction was bad, but the intention behind it wasn't, if that makes sense. So what you intended to do was fine. But I think the second part to that is, can we expect your actions to reasonably lead to what you're intending? And I think the answer is no. I think that when you do look back and say, hey, I probably shouldn't have said it that way, you're really acknowledging that the intention that you had by saying it is not what was going to be the outcome. And we can look back and say, okay, I realized that I was trying to, get them to understand my feelings. But is the way you're actually saying it going to do that? That's the question. Can we reasonably say that snapping at someone will let them know how frustrated or sad or upset you are at something? And the answer is no. They're just going to think you're being a prick, right? So that's the reasonable outcome of sort of snapping at someone like this. So I think that is a really good way to analyze it, because we've all done things that we've sort of gone, okay, that was never going to lead to a good outcome. I don't know why I did it. And that's okay. But I think it is the looking back on it and sort of going, well, alternatively, I could say it like this, and that probably would lead to a better outcome for them and me, as far as communicating how I feel and coming to some kind of compromise, agreement, some kind of thing that we can be satisfied with. So, and we all, but the other thing is to be kind to yourself. As I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. But being kind to yourself is realizing that you always will say stuff that comes out wrong, that you intend to, somebody hurts you and you go, oh, well, you're this. And what you're intending to do is sort of showing them that you get hurt as well by what they do, and sort of saying, hey, we both do behaviors that hurt each other sometimes, but it doesn't come out like that. And there's no reasonable way that would lead to communicating your feelings in the matter. But we know this, right? And we do it, and it's okay. Be kind to yourself. We do that occasionally. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up for having an intention and not taking the best action to lead to it. Sometimes we are wrong about which action will lead to which consequence at the time. And our emotions, they can make us feel like, and I kind of do agree that a lot of the times what's right and what's wrong, we work on our feelings, how we feel. Does this feel to be right? But don't be too harsh on yourself when you look back and go, hey, that was a silly idea. It wasn't going to lead to where I wanted it to lead in retrospect. It's very easy to do that after the fact. It's very easy to read through a post on Reddit and say, hey, you are morally bankrupt. Yeah, it's very easy. But it's very hard to predict that ahead of time. Maybe we can get better at it. I don't know. Maybe if we look at our behavior and realize where it leads to, maybe we can feel differently at the time. And our feelings can guide us to a better outcome, because we will go, well, I could snap, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just say, hey, I understand that you're upset, and I'm upset as well. And I don't want to make you more upset, but here's how I feel. Maybe that's a better response. Maybe not. All we can do is take the best, the best, sort of choose the most reasonable way to lead to the consequence of the best well-being for everyone involved. And that's really what I'm advocating for. But thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed this, actually. So I will be back next week with Am I the Arsehole? In the form of Am I Morally Bankrupt or Them? Good old AIMBOT. On Friday, the Thursday night Eastern time, I will be back with Fundamentalist Fails. And somebody replied to a Fundamentalist Fail, so I've got to come back and sort of point out all the stuff in that. So that's going to be a follow-up. I hope you can join me for that. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you to Andrew, Al, Rembrandt. Ralph was in here. Niddy was in here briefly, but I think most people are over at the debate, which is fair enough. That's totally cool. But take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.